It's finally happening, ladies and gentlemen. The Toronto Maple Leafs are now just not months, not weeks, not days away. We are hours away from what is the beginning of the most important playoff run in the last decade for this team, the most important playoff run as the Core Four since the Core Four started back 9 years ago, 2016. And man, oh man, it feels a little bit surreal. We're about an hour away from puck drop. I assume it'll be a little bit later than that. What's up, everybody in the chat? Darius is he's with his family, but he will be watching the game, and of course, he'll be back for the full post game. But ladies and gentlemen, Jim, I know you were clamoring for the pre-game stream, so we got it rolling for you. But it is a nerve-wracking time. Like I mentioned, we have, and we'll dive into a bunch of things here. I have the lines from last year as well. Of course, the Ottawa Senators. It's been a very scary past, not scary. It's been a pretty rough handful of years, right? Over the past however many years it's been. And I think it's finally time that things change for this team. And it's all going to begin with this game. And this is where it starts. This is where everything, as the intro says, it's where the drama unfolds. But thank you, Grant. What matters now, we were live for, I believe, 80 of the 82 games this year, or 79 or 80 of the 82 games. And none of that matters now, right? None of the games of the regular season matter. Of course, the streams were electric. But what matters now is what happens today. And all of it, if you lose in the first round, no one's talking about the Leafs regular season over the past however many years, right? But what does matter now is this playoff run. You have the advantage on paper. You have the advantage everywhere. And if the Leafs can get this done, the team feels different. The vibe around the city, I think, is different. Everything feels like this is finally the year where they put it together. Mitch Marner, this is his last year as a Maple Leaf, especially if they lose. They were just talking about it. And Kiprios going out and saying, Mitch Marner could be on his way out if they lose in the first round. Regardless of that, what matters now is the next hour or so. It's about 7:40-ish for me, Blake, around 7:40. So what matters is this. Now, I want all of you in chat. Well, again, we'll be live following the game as well. I want all of you in chat to type how nervous you are on a scale of 1 to 10, because I've been seeing this a lot. We spoke about it in our video today. It's a mix of nerves. It's a mix of excitement. How 1 to 10, where are the nerves? I will, Scott. I have it right. I'm going to throw on this one right here. I'm wearing blue though. What are your nerves right now on a scale to 1 to 10? Because we've been waiting for this for years, right? Years for a team like this. And I'm going to dive into lines in a minute. We have a little bit of time here, and we know hockey, Maple Leaf Square is electric, but it's, I'm starting to feel it a little bit now. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. I think I'm probably at a 6 or a 7. And of course, Aiden making me do math right now is crazy. Too nervous to do math. What's up, Francis? Jim's at an 8, positive 5, profit 2. I feel very confident, but at the end of the day, it is very nerve-wracking, just in the sense of we've watched the Leafs for the entire year, decades for some people, years, whatever it ends up being. But this playoff run particularly feels very, very different. We've obviously been hurt so many times, but you need to win game 1. And obviously, if they lose game 1, I'm not going to come out and say the series is over or anything ridiculous like that, but they need to win this game. They need to win this game. I'm really hoping that the home crowd is electric. I hope they feed off of the energy that, Winnipeg did. And I keep using that as an example, but I'm really hoping that's the case. As Robert comes in with a 5, I'm a Leafs fan, so always nervous. Robert, thank you. So your support the whole year has been fantastic. Robert, thank you very, very much. Much, much, much appreciated over there. We have a bunch of different lines to go into as well, so don't... it's going to be a little bit crazy. But again, it is an exciting time. Now, let's dive into a few different things. Robert, thank you again for the 5. Your guys' support all season has been amazing, and I have a thank you for you all as well. But let's dive into the game a little bit. We'll get Jim calling in, all these different things. Also, if you're excited for the Leafs, hit the like button. We're going to be live following the game, and of course, we'll have multiple videos. As Jim comes in with the 10 gifted, we are at, and ladies and gentlemen, Jim, I'll talk to you in a minute in the call in here. We are at an all-time high of members as Crankbait. Holy, Jim has gifted members Crunchy, Crankbait, and Jordan Sullivan. All people I recognize. I recognize a few of these guys as well, but Crank finally got gifted. Johnny as well. Recognize that name, maybe from Jay's. A bunch of people out of that 10 just got gifted. So shout out to Jim. We are at an all-time high for members right now. We're like 30. I don't know the exact number. We're a little bit away from 200. The community right now is at an all-time high. Everyone is feeling good. This is the most exciting time of the year. So Jim, thank you for sharing the generosity. And it is very, very exciting. It is very exciting. What do you mean, Blueface? Thank you for the 10. If you got a member from Jim, we're going to be adding emotes throughout the postseason as well, depending on who's playing well. Now, let's dive into the lines a little bit here. Let's do some groundskeeping. Let's do some groundskeeping work. Now, of course, we know some of the lines. Again, it's funny because this year compared to last year is very different. So let's look at this year. Now, these are the lines right now. You have Nyes, Matthews, Marner, Domi, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson, Lorentz, Lawton, Yarncroke. How are we feeling about these lines? Anything you guys would have changed? Honestly, I think it's probably the perfect lines, and everybody, it's what everybody expects here. Luckily, OEL, who's Oliver Ekman-Larsson, is back. I got to respond to that comment. I know someone was asking in the comments about who OEL is. Me and Darius obviously use that word freely. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, as I'm sure most of you guys know. But regardless, this is the lines. How are we feeling? Are we feeling confident? Yes or no in the chat. Also, Jim, thank you again for the 10 gifted. All-time high members right now. We're approaching 200, which is an absurd goal. Hopefully we can keep that all playoff long, off-season long. Also, thank you again, Robert, for the 5. I like Domi in the second line. I really do. I think the boys are going to come out firing. I really think the boys are going to come out firing. Yeah, Blake, I'm fired up. As fired up as I've been in a very, very long time. Robertson did make the lineup, and I'm a little bit surprised. Obviously, Pacioretty is not in the lineup. High faith. Don't have to switch to McMahon. Jimmy parlays cooking today. I almost put some money on the Leafs here. I almost put some money on the Leafs winning the Eastern Conference. I think it's paying out a plus 700 right now, but lines are perfect. Domi Robertson playing well. I mean, the biggest eyes are going to be on Nick Robertson. If he plays bad and they lose this game, we know there's going to be some changes. Jets did win game 1 in a very, crazy fashion against the Blues. And I want to show you guys something, and I brought this up here because I think a lot of you guys might appreciate this. Let's have a look at lines last year. Which team do you think is better? So again, you can look at it here, and let's look at the lines from last year. Now, obviously, Mitch Marner was on the second line with John Tavares. You had Bertuzzi, Matthews, Domi. You still had Robertson on the third line. You had a lot of the same players, but obviously in the forward group, the fourth line this year is way, way better. Way, way better. The defensive group, and looking back at last year, I mean, that blue line is really not NHL Stanley Cup caliber, and you had Ilya Samsonov starting last year. So it is, I think the first one in would be David Kampf, probably, if something goes bad, depending on what you need, and depending who goes out. We have Wall now and Stolarz instead of Samsonov and Wall. You have a much better fourth line. You have Scott Laughton, and this is the time where Scott Laughton is he's gonna pay true. All the money we gave up, or all the picks, we gave up for him. Yeah, exactly. Retro Sunday. Yeah, 1967, March 15th. I am, the nerves are kicking in. I was pretty confident all day. I took today to relax, watch, some playoff basketball, watch the Toronto Blue Jays get pumped. Now we're here. Yeah, it was interesting last year. Obviously, Bertuzzi. And of course, Nylander and McMahon both missed the game, right? Again, thanks, Jim. Thank you for the 10. I know a lot of people got gifted that membership, so much, much appreciated. Community's growing. Lorentz will score some big goals. Lawton will step up. If they can just take care of business today and win game 1, that will go a long, long way. Long, long way. Yeah, I don't want to get even started with the Jays today. Don't even want to get started with the Jays. Can't. Yo, Nick and Jim and missing Darius. Love the show. Glad to keep up. Thank you, Petey, very much. Yeah, Darius is obviously happy Easter Sunday as well to everybody who celebrates. It's hopefully you guys enjoyed time with your family or enjoyed time with whatever you were doing if you celebrated. So hopefully happy Easter to everybody. Happy Easter and happy 420. What's up, Josh? Welcome to the community. Do you agree game 1, biggest game of the series? Yes. If McMahon can heat up like midseason, that'd be nice. Yep. I think, Jay, I think they're going to come out firing tonight. I think the mentality is different for the Leafs this time around. I really do. I think it's going to be a completely different mentality for this team. And Jim, happy birthday as well. Happy birthday to Jim. Oh, Positive said it as well. Everyone in the chat, wish Jim a happy birthday. He's been around for since the start of the season, supporting Everyone been a big part of the community. So everybody wish Jim a happy birthday in the chat. He told us last time his birthday was on 420 on the day that the Leafs are playing, April 20th. So everybody wish Jim a happy birthday. Jim, hopefully you're having a happy birthday. Thank you for for supporting me for gifting us memberships on your birthday. Happy birthday to Jim. Here we go, Jim. Throw some. We don't have a birthday emote. Should have came up with the Jim birthday emote. Could have been throw some Leafs Digest in there. Happy birthday to Jim. He is a legend. Let's go back into the lines a little bit. So, what's up, Aiden, as well? Father of subs. Father of gifted members, for sure. Now, again, the big things to keep an eye out for me is going to be Nick Robertson. How that third line plays, it could be either really good or really bad. As you go up against the Ottawa third line, they're going to try to be physical. Hopefully, Craig Berube. Obviously, the Leafs get the last shift change, so try to match up that first line with their third line or their fourth line, depending on what happens there. But Jim, it'll be electric if the Leafs are able to get this one. Yeah, exactly, Jim. Other years are relevant. I don't care if you beat. Yeah, I mean, right now is all that matters. Right now is all that matters. We are about technically 38 minutes away from puck drop, but we all know how this works. It's probably going to be more like a 7:15 puck drop. I would assume a 7:15 puck drop. That's kind of how it goes. It's kind of how it goes with these games. 1 second, my keyboard died on me somehow. Good timing. Now let's look at some of the lines here for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Ottawa Senators. So obviously, again, in case you missed there's a bunch of different things. We look at the projected stats, all these different things. We have a bunch of Stolarz gets the net tonight. SDP. Here we go, right here. I had to find it. Apologies. Let's have a quick look. Going through all the screenshots today. Apologies for that. But let's dive into it. Let's look at the Ottawa Senators lines. You have Kachuk, Stutzel, Giroux. Do any of these lines scare you? I have the Panthers, Blake. Do any of these lines scare you? On the Senators side of things, do any of these lines scare you? Yeah, Patches and Camp are healthy, Jam. They're both healthy. Both healthy and ready to go. Like, doesn't really scare me, to be quite honest. It does not scare me at all. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to just lock in here. That's what matters. That's what matters to me, is locking in and winning. Winning the game. Let's go out and win the game. That's all that matters. I'm fired up. Depends how they use the top line. Yeah. The first line is very good. I will give them that. Of course, they acquired Dylan Cousins for their second line. They have, of course, Pinto. I mean, the third line is pretty good, Ridley Greig. So, I don't know. Like, it's kind of decent, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's all right. It is all right. And I'm interested to see the physicality and how the Leafs respond to the physicality. Are Leafs going to be the team that actually sets the tone physically against the Ottawa Senators? Or are they going to be the team that takes the physicality and kind of gets thrown around? We're seeing Sheldon Keefe over in New Jersey get pummeled. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah. Oh, Jay, it could be later. I'm on the optimistic side. Hopefully it's not too late for the puck drop. I just want to get this started here. I want to get this started, man. It's crazy. It's we've most of you guys. I recognize obviously a lot of regulars in here. We've waited all year for this. All year, live after every game, videos every day, talking about the Leafs every single day. And guess what happens? All of it now matters. All that matters now is what happens in about 45 minutes from now. It's kind of crazy to think about. Obviously, sports, like. You play such months and months of hockey, paying attention to your favorite team, all these different things. And now all that matters is right now. That's it. Live in the moment. Got to live in the moment. Hopefully the Leafs can live in the moment, themselves and really come out. And it's going to be crazy. It is going to be absolutely crazy. Chills. Chills are coming. What's up, John? Puck drop will drop in 45 minutes. Yeah, that's my guess. Really hope the rest of the players, but I think they will based on the physicality in the Jets game, physicality in the Devils game a little bit. And again, there's so much. I mean, I'm talking to some of my friends who are, Habs fans or whatever fans. the energy around the Leafs is same old, same old. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Regarding the fighting, I don't think either team is going to fight right away. If that's kind of what if that's what the vibe is, I don't think that happens. I really don't. But I do think that the Leafs just got to focus on winning the game. Listen, the only way the Leafs are going to lose this series is if, of course, the core four doesn't perform, but it's if they play down to Ottawa's level, they get abused physically. You have Anthony Stolar, so you got to have full trust in. So just don't let them get in your head. The Leafs are favorites, all these different things. We've heard that a million times. It doesn't matter. What matters right now, just stay locked in. Like, they'll win the game if they play their game, which they've been playing all season. This is why Craig Berube prepared them for this moment. It's why the physicality of Craig Berube's play style, they literally have been preparing for this moment all year. That's why Craig Berube, that's why they brought him in. Change the scenery, change of, physicality. We've been seeing it. Luckily, all comes down to now. I mean, think about last year, Timothy Liljegren. Yeah, it's time. It's time. Jim, we'll get you in here for a little bit before we wrap up and focus on the game and the Habs play tomorrow. But a little bit nervous. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't matter. Does not matter. All right, let's dive into it. I'm going to get Jim in here. Yes, so just a quick note to everybody in here. We will be live, of course, after the game. No doubt about it. We'll be live before the game. We'll be live after the game. This is probably the only game, depending on how things go, we'll be doing a pregame stream. But we're going to be live after every single game. So don't you worry about that. Come back for the post-game stream. All right, Jim, let's get you in here. Quick thoughts and... nervous. Okay. All right, Jim. Welcome in. And calm before the storm. About 45 minutes away, probably, until puck drop. And I'm curious to see your thoughts. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous now that the time has actually come.
Yeah.
It's been a long year, obviously, and I'll let you take the floor here and let's get your thoughts.
First of all, hey, Nick, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a great ride this year, and the postseason ride is just beginning. I just want to say hey to everybody in the chat right now. This has been one hell of a year, and it's just starting. So buckle up, boys. I have a feeling this is going to be a long, long ride. Leafs, I'm getting some nervous energy. You talked about that. I'm having a hard time figuring out whether it's nerves about just in general or just like the fact, that's history raising its head. But Nick, as I've said to you before, I'm trying to look at this team very different than we have previous teams. And because it is a very different team. Nick, I just want to say, I'm sure you guys and many guys in the chat have watched some of the other games, namely, wow, that Jets game last night.
Yeah.
That crowd was absolutely electric, Nick. And we can only hope that we get some fraction of that in this, very business-centered, Scotiabank Center tonight, because, man, that was absolutely electric, man. What a great game to start off. And, that crowd was just absolutely wild, buddy. Wild.
Yeah. It's Winnipeg is a different breed when it comes to the crowd, the whiteout, all those different things. But also, you mentioned it. It's hockey playoffs. I think they're just a different animal compared to other sports. Like, everything matters so much. It's very interesting. Now, on the other side of the board, it can rip your heart out. We've obviously been following, and everybody in the chat, a lot of people have been following the Leafs the whole year, hours and hours and hours and hours, tens of hours of time spent watching the team. So for all of it to come down to what could be as short as 4 games is the scary part. I think that's naturally where the nerves come in, because it's just kind of, it's our lives in some way outside of work and things like that. So I don't know. That's, I think, where the nerves come in for most people. And of course, it's obviously streaming and all these different things. Like, I'm a little bit, I know Darius is a bit more, I think a bit less nervous than I am. I'm a little bit nervous right now, and I'm usually the optimistic one. I still think the Leafs are going to win in 5, but yeah.
Yeah, Nick, I would say this though. It was a quote that came to mind that I think is really apropos in this situation when it comes to the Leafs, and it was in Craig Button's book a few years ago, where he talked about this. He walked into a NHL dressing room, and he said to them, he asked them 3 questions. 3 questions, Nick. The first question is, all right, put your hand up if you want to win the Stanley Cup. And of course, everyone does.
Yep.
Question number 2 was, put up your hand if you're willing to sacrifice your body to win a Stanley Cup? And of course, everybody does, right? And the third question, which is the most important one, is put your hand up if you know how to do that. And I think if you look at this Leafs team in previous versions of this team, they haven't been able to answer that third one, or they were lying to themselves if they said yes. And I think that's kind of what we can say about the Ottawa Senators right now. Like I think they're a fun team to watch. Their energy, and if Brady Tkachuk was a member of our team, absolutely he'd be a fan favorite. But I think their playoff inexperience, I think, is probably going to get the better of them. And I think in a weird way, Nick, I think the Ottawa Senators are kind of on the precipice of being, like kind of what the Leafs were, a near decade ago. In the fact that they are finally made the playoffs and they've broken through into that. But I just think they possibly have met the wrong team at the wrong time. And that's my opinion on that. And I think, you talked before, Nick, about matchups. And the only matchup I think that kind of worries me a bit, you did touch on it, is their third line. So, the Greg Pinto and that line makes me a little nervous just because they could potentially be who they could be matched up on the Leaf side. But that said, if the McMahon Holmberg Robo line shows up and does what I think they're capable of doing, then they should be okay with that. I think, as much as you and I, Nick, have made it really clear about our feelings on Robo, I mean, he does continue to work really hard, and for whatever reason, he seems to have gotten some favor with the coach. And so that's the only matchup, though, that gives me any sort of nerves. And I think if that matchup falls, if it doesn't go well, then we do certainly have one of my favorites, Patches, which I think is going to make his way into this lineup at some point, and will make a literal, not metaphoric, impact on the Senators. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think ultimately Patches will probably get into some game, especially if the Leafs lose early. That being said, Craig Berube clearly has shown a willingness to stick with what's worked. And towards the end of the season, obviously, they were fantastic since the Four Nations Cup. Holmberg being on the third line of the first game of the playoffs is not something I necessarily expected, but he's been playing better. Scott Lott, that fourth line, I think, is going to be a strength for the Leafs throughout every single round, assuming they get past the Ottawa Senators, Lorentz, Lawton, and Yarncroke. Like, that's a very, very strong fourth line. And you compare that to the fourth line last year of Connor Dewar, David Kemp, and Ryan Reeves, just better everywhere. And even the line last year on the third line, Robertson, Holmberg, Yarncroke versus McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson, like very similar, but I think just a little bit better. And you mentioned Nick Robertson. I'm not a fan of him. I haven't really been all year, but for the rest of the season, I'm going to be the biggest fan of him as possible. And I have been like that way during the regular season anyway. But if there's a time for him, I think the reason they have him on the third line, they want to provide some sort of, that's kind of the goal scoring line to a degree when it comes to the depth line. You have McMahon and Robertson, two guys who aren't afraid to shoot, two guys quick on their skates. So it's kind of the opposite of the fourth line with Lorentz, Lawton, and Yarncroke. So I think they complement each other pretty well here. And if the fourth line can just hold it down and do their job, and of course, like what the biggest storyline is going to be the core four, how they're going to be the first two lines. But like, that's obvious. Everyone knows that. Hopefully they're going to be able to do their thing, and none of this will matter if they end up not being, performing at the level we know they can. However, the bottom six is going to be, and it usually is, like the difference between this team being a Stanley Cup contender and then a team that, our fourth line is a lot of teams. Yeah, it's a very good point, Jordan. There's a lot of teams third line, depending how you mix things up. What matters now is the core four, but most importantly for me, aside from, of course, the core four, is how that third and fourth line plays. You make a good point. Like, the third line of the Senators is very good, and defensively, that third line for the Leafs can be a bit worrisome with Bobby McMahon and specifically Nick Robertson and his, not necessarily inexperience, but I guess you could say it, inexperience of taking a lot of weak penalties that are can happen. That just can't happen today. The moment you start giving the Senators a power play at home, you don't want to take the crowd out of the game either, because it's going to be interesting. Like you mentioned, the corporate attitude.
Well, yeah, Nick, and also, with Robo too, it's been outside of his, time, his penchant for taking ill-advised penalties. He's actually, if you look at it, he defensively, he's been a real problem at times. Now, the last 3 or 4 weeks, that's gotten better. But that said, it's so that you still can't whitewash 3 weeks of better with the rest of the season, which is he's been in and out of the lineup largely because of his defensive issues, right? You talked about, Nick, about the fourth line. Man, I honestly, I'm really excited about lots of things about this team. But that fourth line, given the experience they have, the physical presence, and the speed that they can do a proper forechecking and be a proper checking line, they could do some serious damage. And I love that matchup for the Leafs. Absolutely, I think they're actually going to be quite effective in that role for sure. Nick, you talking about there's not much made about the core four. I'm going to add a wrinkle into that. I believe, and I've mentioned this to you before, but perhaps not to everyone else in the chat. I believe we have a core five now, and that may change with Marner not knowing what his contract status is. But that fifth person is Matthew Knies. And I've been a big supporter of his throughout the year, Nick, and I'm quite keen. So much so that I've actually put a parlay in there today, where with Leafs winning today, JT and Knies both anytime goal scorers. So if anyone wants to get down on that, great payday for that. But yeah, I believe in Knies, and I think he's going to have a really He's a guy that I'm really interested to watch. He's, as you've noted before, he's been a bit of a playoff performer for us, and as of late, especially last year. And he's bigger, faster, I think more confident, and I think he's going to be literally very impactful in this series.
Yeah, it's a very good parlay. And I might tail that one after the stream, but it's I think Matthew Knies, he is going to be Daniel Maderos in the chat saying that Matthew Knies is the future of the team. I mean, I think that top line, whatever happens with Mitch Marner, we're in good hands with Matthew Knies. If Mitch Marner leaves, of course, Matthew Knies can step up. But I don't even want to, for now, I'm not going to be speaking about Mitch Marner leaving. Let's just hope he plays well, and regardless of that. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking at, you can see on the broadcast now, everyone's doing their skates. Like, the energy is very high. It's always high around this team. But it feels different. And I think, I was trying to think about what actually feels very different this postseason. I think you mentioned it, like Berube from the first game of the season when we streamed after the games, we were talking about how it just, the regular season at times may even be the style of play more boring than what we saw last year. But they are just ready physically, I think, and they're ready mentally, which is the biggest thing for this team. They have all the skill in the world. They're arguably, on paper, one of the most skilled teams in the NHL, definitely. And only a couple other teams that compete on paper, but it's how they actually play. And let's also not forget, compared to last year's playoffs, they were missing Nylander, they were missing Bobby McMahon. They had some interesting things. Bertuzzi didn't really perform. Now you're fully healthy. There's not a single injury to speak of. And of course, last year was a disaster. The Austin Matthews thing, the Nylander migraines, all these different things happen. Ilya Samsonov getting the start, which feels like so long ago, but it was Ilya Samsonov with a 3.13 goals against average to finish the year in 40 games, like an 889 save percentage, compared to Anthony Stolarz, which is a story that I have all the faith in the world in him, but that's going to be a big, like, I don't know, the team just looks so much better. And I think most importantly, they're mentally ready, which is something that I don't think Sheldon Keefe knew how to prepare them for, which he's not doing a great job over in New Jersey either, which no disrespect to him, the team's injured, but I think it's the mental aspect. That is the biggest thing. I think Craig Berube, that's why they brought him in. They don't care about regular season wins, at least as it pertains to, the standings matter a lot. But other than that, they won the Atlantic, and now it's time to win the Stanley Cup, but win this game mainly.
Yeah, and Nick, you mentioned it, but I think like as far as like the Berube effect, I made a joking comment saying I wonder if we're going to have like a Four Nations face-off sort of start to this. The reality is, though, Nick, here I think we're going to see a start out of our Leaf team is much like what we've seen all this year, anyways, which is quite. In contrast to previous years, which is you're going to see a patient defensive first game. You're going to wait and I think they're going to. It may not be the most exciting style, but it's a winning style and a playoff style. And I think you're going to see them, pounce on their opponent's mistakes, make as few mistakes themselves as they can, and not take too many outright chances. And I think that's been a formula that I think has been working for them. And I think we're going to continue to see that throughout the playoffs, which I hope is a long playoff run. Nick, I just want to say before I let you go here, I'm sitting here in my Once Before I Die t-shirt under my 1993 only wearing during the playoffs jersey, which is a Doug Gilly. I'm wearing Doug Gilmore right now, which I'm wearing. I only wear this jersey for the playoffs. Gentlemen, Nick, thank you so much for having me on. If those of you that are in the chat right now, if this is the first time you've been in here, I'm telling you guys, subscribe, consider becoming a member. This is the best. I'm not sure whether Nick and company are going to continue to do these before the games, but this is the best. This isn't just some guy out here trying to make YouTube money. This is a guy that loves this community, loves this team as much as every one of us do, and he's here. And this is building a community. So Nick, thank you so much. A big hey to everybody in the chat, and a big go Leafs go. This is our year, boys. I can feel it.
Yeah, Jim, happy birthday as well. Happy birthday as well. It's we need a Leafs win for the birthday. We need a Leafs win for the birthday.
Absolutely, buddy. I'll talk to you after the game.
Yes, sir. We'll have the call in. You'll be the first caller in after the game.
Love it, buddy. Okay, go Leafs, go, guys.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Jim, and wow, electric. Let's wish Jim happy birthday again in the chat. It is his birthday. Jim, I'm really hoping for a Leafs win, and thank you for the kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, one quick thing. We're 10 likes away from 50. If you're in here, you're lurking, and you're excited for the Leafs playoff run, make sure to hit 50 subscribers. We might be going live for pre-games depending on the game, but mainly, like Jim mentioned, the post-game streams. We've been doing them all year. I am extremely excited. And let's also, before we wrap up here, there's going to be, now, whether it's tonight, whether it's throughout the series, at some point, unless the Leafs do the unthinkable, there's going to be some losses throughout this ride. It's going to be an up and down ride. Obviously, with the way the Leafs performed in previous years, it's going to be up and down. I'm going to remain optimistic until the very end. It's the way that, I have full faith in this team. I do. And we're going to be live for the losses. We're going to be live for the wins, but it's going to be a marathon, and it starts today, which is April 20th. And it's been a crazy, obviously, this is the first full season of being fully locked in the post-game live streams. You only missed a couple games. It is going to be, obviously, we've been covering them. So I do want to thank each and every one of you who have been tuning in the entire year. It means the world to Darius and myself. Even just the community we built, Jim, and everybody who's been in here. It has been a fantastic ride. And hopefully, and it is, just the beginning of, this crazy ride that's going to be the next month or two. And you have to be fired up if you're a Leafs fan right now. Yes, there's so much, and it's a Battle of Ontario. It's April. Yeah, it is April, but Easter. Whew, it is. My heart's going a little bit right now. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm very nervous, to be quite honest. But what matters most is that the Leafs come out and they get the win, because I'm really hoping in 3 or so hours, 2.5 hours, we're talking about how the Leafs came out and just sent a terrifying message, sent a statement to the entirety of the NHL, because there's still people out there who are doubting the Leafs, rightfully so, following this season. But it has been a crazy year, especially for everybody, the community we built, all the people in chat. I recognize a bunch of you guys, and if you're new, welcome in. This is going to be the start of something special. Whew. Petey, my prediction tonight, 4-2 Leafs. 4-2 Leafs. That's my prediction. Everybody leave your predictions in chat. It is terrifying. I'm nervous now. There's no doubt about it. The lines are officially out. It's the exact same as I showed you guys. The skate has happened. Boy, oh boy. It's going to be interesting. Austin Matthews has had very good success in his career. 15 goals against Linus Ullmark. Anthony Stolarz. The vibes are high. The energies are high. And we're 3 likes away from 50, but it would be fitting in the first year where, we're going, me and Darius here in Leafs Digest we went all in with the post-game streams, following each step of the way with you all, that they make a historic run. And I have a very good feeling about tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Very, 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 very good feeling. And what matters most is enjoy it. Obviously, enjoy it. It's going to be ups and downs. We know how sports are. But at the end of the day, we're all here. We're all, we're all healthy. We're all happy. And that's what matters most in life. But of course, now that we're watching the Leafs, let's just enjoy it. Enjoy the ups and downs. The best part of sports. But being healthy and enjoying the games is going to be the most important thing. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm locked in. And doesn't the song, we built the intro song, the custom Leafs Digest song that is kind of, people are asking for it on Spotify. It's built for moments like this. When we came up with that song there's some background for all you interested. Prior to the season, we all know the song. And if you don't, you'll hear it in a minute and a little bit anyways. It was a song we built mainly for the energy into a playoffs or after a big win. And I think if the Leafs win tonight, that song is going to hit even more different. We have something miles. We also have, of course, the updated version with some of the announcers, all these different things. But it's built for moments like this. It's built for moments like this. We're 1 like away from 50 as well. Let's just go out and dominate the Ottawa Senators. Let's just do it. Waited all year for this. Quick recap. Here are the lines. These are the confirmed lines now. Ladies and gentlemen, these were the lines last year, but it's been a ride. It's going to be an exciting one. And man, oh man. Thank you, Daniel. That's our goal. It's our goal to build the best community, and I think we did it. We just hit 50 likes. Shout out to each and every one of you. Again, we'll be live in like 2 or 3 hours, depending on how long the game goes. Darius will be here for that, of course. Let's just win the game. Win the game. We'll come back in the live stream. We'll be fired up. And they play again on Tuesday. There's not much time to breathe here. There's not much time to breathe. But take it easy, everybody. We'll wrap it up now. I'll put on the outro song that we all know and hopefully love. Or if you hate it, it is what it is. Enjoy the game, ladies and gentlemen. Grab your snacks, your popcorn, your drinks, food, whatever it ends up being. Enjoy it. And we'll be back. We'll be back in a few hours. So it's going to be exciting. Hopefully we'll see each and every one of you. Win or loss. Really hoping for a win. The vibes are high. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the ride. Thank you to each and every one of you who've tuned in now, tune in all season, tune in the videos every day. It all comes down to this. And see you guys after the game. Take it easy.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends are told. From first pop drop to the season's full. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.